Thanks for joining me. We are going to discuss practical tips for foreigners in Uganda. And today's topic is money. That's a big topic. Okay, so the first thing I want to say about money here in Uganda, when you are moving around in Uganda and you want to do something nice for Ugandans, maybe give them some money, don't give out dollar bills, don't give out $5 bills or $10 bills. Even 20s you want to not really give out because you cannot exchange $1, $10, or 20 you can, but the exchange rate's not good. $1, $5, $10 bills, you can't exchange them here. So don't be handing those out because the people can't do anything with them. And then also coins like quarters, nickels, dimes, unless you just want them to have them as a keepsake, there's nothing they can do with them. They have no value whatsoever here. So you want to avoid that. If you really want to be giving out things to people, it's better that when you get here to Uganda, you go to the supermarket, you buy a big bag of the cheapest sweets you can find, candy that you can find, and just have it available with you all the time. Even the adults like getting candy. By the way, I hand out candy all the time. And you think it's a little thing, and it's actually not very expensive here. You can buy like a really big bag of 200 pieces of like the hard candy sweets that maybe you wouldn't necessarily like a Jolly Rancher, but not quite as good. And you can pay about $2, maybe $3 for that whole bag, and then you hand it out just like everywhere you go, like just to be kind. Somebody's driving you, you're like, oh, here, would you like a sweet? And they appreciate it. It seems like a small thing, like to you and me, but it's a big thing here. Maybe not so much in town, but definitely in the villages, it's a really big deal as you move along. And honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do here is to give out candy and specifically those little hard candies, because maybe I'll be walking in the village and I just did this last week. I was coming back from teaching, and it's a place I go frequently. It's not far from home. And I wanted to make sure that I gave out to the people I was passing. So I had it available and I was handing out everywhere I go because I don't want them to just see that, this foreigner's here, but I want them to know I'm willing to give and I care. So believe it or not, candy is a great way to do that, and it's better not to do chocolate because it melts. This is hot. It's hot here. It's better to wait until you're here and to buy it here because it's much cheaper. It's something that they're used to. If you bring something from America that they're never going to have again, then it's really it's fine, but it's better for them to have something that they really love, and they love the candy that's available here. And it's inexpensive. It doesn't make sense to waste your suitcase space on something like that. So wherever you go, you want to make sure that you always have something like that available because it means something to them. Now, as far as money, okay? You want to have 1,000 shillings, Uganda shillings. You want to have 2,000 Uganda shillings. You want to have 5,000 Uganda shillings, 10,000 Uganda shillings, 20,000 Uganda shillings. And they have denominations of 50 as well, because you want to have that money because maybe somebody does something really nice for you. It's way, way, way too much to give them 50,000. That is overkill. Don't do that. It's better to give 1,000, 2,000. That's more reasonable. But 50,000, no, 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 no. Don't do that. That's too much. So again, maybe you have some Uganda money in your pocket and a porter helped you. You can give them 1,000 or 2,000 shillings. That's fine. But a 50 or a 20 or even a 10, even a 5 is too much. You want to make sure that you have the 1,000 and 2,000 denominations in your pocket as much as possible, because when you're doing work in the village, maybe you've gone to visit a church. I'm talking about a village church. I'm not talking about a church like Watoto. Watoto is a church here that's Mzungu based. That means it's the founders of it were from America. So these big, beautiful buildings, and they're air conditioned, and that doesn't really represent the Ugandan culture. So I'm not talking about a place like that. I mean, you've gone into the village to visit a church, and the walls are made of wood, or the walls are made of iron sheets, or there are no walls and they meet under a tree. You want to make sure that you have the small denominations, the 1,000, the 2,000, because in this culture, when somebody does something that you appreciate, you go ahead and you give them a little something to say, hey, I appreciate it. So maybe somebody in church sang really good. Well, you give them that 1,000 because then they can go buy a soda. And 1,000 shillings is like 30 cents, right? And so you might say, well, 30 cents, that's not very generous, but it is here. You understand? It is here. And so when you come to a place like Uganda, you can't come with an American mindset or a Western mindset. You need to understand the culture and assimilate to what's best for the culture. You understand what I'm saying? So because of that, it's really important that if you're going into the villages that you have some of that money, that smaller money, to give when somebody's like has been a guide to you, or they've been very friendly, or they've done a great job singing or preaching even. You just give them that 1,000 because they can buy a soda, and they appreciate that. And again, that's 30 cents for you, but for them it's a really big deal, because a lot of the people in the villages have to choose between food and medical care. So to give them 1,000 is like really, it's something they won't forget. And then you also want to have some of the coins. So the coins that they have here in Uganda are 100 has a cow on it, 200 has a fish on it, 500 is a different color. So the cow and the fish are kind of like silver looking, and the 500 is more copper looking. And there is even a 1,000 coin, 1,000 shillings, and it's got the silver and the copper in it together, right? And so you want to hold those, you want to keep those coins, because a 100 coin can let a kid go buy candy, right? A 200 coin, they can go buy candy. 500 coin, they can go buy a mandas. It's like a bread kind of treat. So you want to keep those coins, you want to keep that small money, and you want to keep sweets. And then you can decide, depending on the situation, what's the best thing to give out. Don't be too extravagant. Don't. Because you might think that, oh, I'm being really generous, but don't do that. It's better to be reasonable. It's better to be reasonable than to be extravagant. And that's a nice rule of thumb. Because if you go around handing out 50,000 note bills, what's going to happen is somebody in the village who's not so nice is going to figure out that you have a lot of money, and then they're going to find a way to rob you. Maybe you're in church and you're dancing to the music and they pull all the money out of your bag. Just don't do that. Don't be overly generous, because it makes you a target. And the Lord will guide you on who you're supposed to give to and what you're supposed to do. But a general rule of thumb, I've seen too many visiting missionaries come into the villages, and they sit and they eat the food that is offered to them, and they sing and they dance and they enjoy everything, and then they don't give anything. Don't do that. These people in the villages, it's taking everything they have to feed you. They practiced for weeks because they knew you were coming. They've put everything into it, and then to leave and not appreciate in any way, shape, or form is really not good. And I think that happens because people aren't educated. We need to make sure that we're supporting, and it's not just giving a big donation to the church so they can buy iron sheets or feed the widows, but it's also the little things. The little things actually speak volumes. The fact that you wandered around the village and handed out sweets to everybody, candy to everybody, that's what they're going to talk about. Or, that you gave out the coins to the children so they could go buy their own sweets, that's what they're going to talk about. So you need to be prepared. Especially if you know you're going into village areas, you need to be prepared. And again, much cheaper to buy sweets here, much cheaper. Okay, so another thing about money that's very important. When you get here to Uganda, in town, in Kampala, in Entebbe, even in Mukano, and some of the bigger towns around the country like Mbarara, Mbale, Fort Portal, Kasese, you can find ATM machines and you can pull out cash. And it's important to do that because you need to have cash. But there's another way to get money here that is, in my opinion, a tad more secure. And it's about the same cost, and that is mobile money. So what I would suggest is that you get a mobile money app on your phone before you come. And for me right now, I'm using SendWave, but there are many other mobile money apps that are good here in Uganda. So do a little research and find out which one is the best, because my information might be a little outdated. And then when you're here, that mobile app can pull money straight from your bank and put it on your phone, or put it on the phone of your guide. And so now you have direct access to that money. Another thing that you can do, which I recommend which I would talk about communication, but I'm going to mention it here. When you come here to Uganda, go and get an Airtel line or an MTN line. Those are the providers. Those are the major providers of phone service here. It's very inexpensive. You can call ahead and have your host do it for you. And then you put that SIM card in your phone, and now you have access to mobile money all the time. And here in Uganda, mobile money is a major way to pay. So maybe you don't have enough cash and you're in the village and you need to buy something from a shop. That person in the shop has a phone number. You can send money on their phone number even though you don't have cash. And so you really need to consider that when you're here. I have to admit, I haven't gone to an ATM machine in I think 2 or 3 years. I primarily use mobile money because it's just so much easier in this environment. It's just a lot easier. So something that you should look into because it does make things a lot easier for you. The other thing is in America, when you're coming, you can buy data there. You can buy Wi-Fi mobile data, but it's like seriously crazy expensive. It is so much better that when you come here and you get that Airtel or that MTN line, that you go ahead and buy a data package. It's so much cheaper. It is so much cheaper. You can even buy international calling and international texting, and it is way, way cheaper. So it's better not to go through your carrier in America to get that communication, those communication tools. It's better to get them here. It's much, much cheaper. And again, if you're coming through, you can even tell your hotel, listen, I want to get an Airtel line, by the time I get there. And they can go ahead and work on it before you even get here. Because again, serious money and I learned this the hard way. I spent so much money, having data from America. And then I learned, no way, I can just get the card here for 30 cents. And then the cost of the data is so cheap compared to America and the Western countries. So definitely recommend that. The other thing regarding money, people are going to come and say to you, this is my need. They will. They'll come straight up to you. They don't know you. They're going to shake your hand and say, oh, I'm so happy to meet you. Oh, you're my sister. Oh, you're my mother. You're my brother. You're now my father. Don't get freaked out by that. It's okay. It's a culture thing. They don't mean anything by it. It's going to feel weird to you. It's going to feel fake to you. It's going to put you on edge. Don't let it do that to you. In this culture, Ugandans, they will come up and tell you what their needs are. Not with any expectation, truly, just to give you the information. And it's okay for you to say, oh, yeah, I'm so glad to meet you too. Oh, you have that need. Okay, well, let me think about that. Thank you so much for telling me. And it's okay. They're not going to get offended. They're not going to get upset. And you don't need to feel stressed. It's just the culture. I mean, for real, it's just the way people talk here. And at first it was really hard for me because people were always coming to me, Mommy Lenore, I need this, I need that, give me this, give me that. And it was so stressful. I felt like I was an ATM machine. I felt so pressured. And the truth is, you don't need to feel pressured. And you don't need to feel stressed. It's just the way they communicate. They're direct and they're forward about it. And they'll just be point blank. How are you going to help me with this? And it's so easy to deal with that. All you have to do is say, hey, thanks so much for telling me. Let me take that to the Lord, or let me think on this. I really appreciate the information. They're not going to be mad. They're not going to be upset. And even if you have to straight up say, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help with this right now, but thanks for telling me. They're not going to get mad. You don't have to worry about that. Don't feel like you're pressured to give. They're not really pressuring you. That's not what they mean. It's just that they don't understand that for us Westerners, it feels like pressure because they don't know our culture. And because we're visiting their country, we need to know their culture and adjust ourselves to them. So like I said, the mistake I made, I used to get so stressed out. Right? And you don't have to be like that. It's okay for people. You'll go to a church and then they'll give you this long list of things that they need on a paper. Well, we just want you to see this is what we need. Don't feel like they're expecting something from you. They're not. They're giving you the information so you can make an informed decision. And you just say, okay, thanks so much for this information. Let me go with this. Right? And even if somebody comes direct to you and says, well, how are you going to help me with this? You say, oh, thanks so much for that information. Let me go with this information. And it's fine. So some people from the Western society, they take it so badly And they get so offended and they say, oh, these people are so greedy. I'm not going to help anybody. Don't do that. They're not greedy. They're just forward. They're just forward. That's all it is. So don't take it personally. Don't think that they think you're just a bank. That's not true. They're just telling you their need because they are telling everybody their need. They're telling everybody because they want help. And so it's okay. The other thing about money, which I think this is very, very important, when you come to a country like Uganda, you're going to see a lot of needs. That's just the truth. So many needs that you could never, as one person, meet them all. Elon Musk himself could not meet all the needs of the people in this country. There's no way. It's very important that you don't lead with your heart. Don't do that. You smile and you're friendly and you go, if you're a believer, you go to the Lord, you say, Lord, who do you want me to help and what do you want me to do? Because maybe he's going to use you and maybe he won't. But when you see all of the poverty here, then it does affect you and it makes you feel like you have to give to everybody and everything you have. Just stop. If you do that, you're going to go crazy. You are not the Holy Spirit. You're not God. You don't know what they really need. You need to stop and pray first and say, Lord, what do you want me to do? That is very important because everywhere you look here, even in town, even in the developed areas, you will see poverty. You'll see kids running around without shoes. You'll be like, oh, I need to buy them shoes. No, you don't. It's hard to make kids wear shoes here. They don't want to wear them. Relax. Don't take the culture from your Western culture and try to look here in Uganda through Western eyes. You need to assimilate to Uganda culture. And the kids, you'll see kids running around and their shirts are ripped and like their pants are showing everything. And you're like, oh, I have to do something. Relax, relax, relax. They're happy that they're wearing those clothes and yeah, they're filthy. It's true. But the Lord will show you who you're supposed to help and who you're not supposed to help. You can't change the whole culture. You can't change the whole poverty. What you can do is say, Lord, what is my part in this? What do you want me to do in this? So just relax, relax, and let the Holy Spirit lead you. And I'm warning you, you're going to see things you don't like here. You will, that you just need to trust in the Lord because the people love God. The vast majority of Ugandans are believers. And they're in different denominations. You know, there's Catholics and Protestants and Church of Uganda, which I think is Anglican. There's even some Jehovah's Witnesses here. And then there's witch doctors here. Yes, that's a real thing. And then there's complete atheists. And, you know, there's all different things that run the gamut. There's Muslims. There's a high concentration of Muslims here, but it's not like what you think. I've had Muslim teachers in the school here, and they're great, sweet people. They don't force their beliefs on you, and you don't force them on them. You know, they're extremists, but the people here are not extremists, and they don't put up with extremism, okay? So when you come here, you're going to see things that make you reevaluate your life back at home. But don't get caught up in the emotion of it. Stay stable. Stay stable and think things through logically. There was somebody who came to visit once, and there was a boy that his eye was so swollen, and I had been keeping an eye on him, and it was getting worse and worse, and I had been praying, Lord, what do you want me to do? Because clearly there's a problem here. And when they saw the issue, when they saw what was going on, they rushed him to the hospital without even talking to his parents and insisted that everything had to happen right now, right now, right now. And I'm like, listen, calm down. Please calm down. Because, you know, I was aware of the situation, but because they were freshly visiting, they were like, oh, it's an emergency. It wasn't an emergency. And we have to take into account that even though people are in poverty here, that doesn't mean you can take their kid and run somewhere. So always check with the leaders in the community before you decide to do something. Always check with the leaders in the community before you decide to do something. If you're with a group, you check with the leader of your group. If you're just like you and your spouse or your family, and you maybe you're on vacation and you have like a tour guide or a local pastor, check with them before you do anything, because they're going to know better than you do. You've just gotten here and you're just going by what you see compared to your life in America. Don't do that. Just take a beat and get the information so that you're making it an appropriate response to what's going on. And then don't get me wrong, here in the village that I live in, we have given shoes, we have given clothes, we have given food, we've helped people repair their homes, we've built latrines. We've given out medicine. So the needs are being met, but it's one person at a time. You know what I'm saying? And you can give out 1,000 pieces of clothing, and tomorrow you'll see some other kid that doesn't have appropriate clothing. You can't fill the gap for the whole world. You have to just go with what the Holy Spirit tells you to do. And so be careful and be mindful of that, because in Uganda, us Westerners are not doing them a favor by coming here, and that cannot be the attitude we have. The attitude we should have is that we are humble and grateful that we get to experience this culture, right? And that we can come alongside and work with each other. Now, the last thing I want to say about money, and it falls under money in my opinion, because it's about giving. Let's say you saw somebody on Facebook and they're like, I have an orphanage and please help because all these kids are hungry, and you see all these kids that are dirty and whatever. And so you decide you're going to give, and then you get really involved and you're giving like all this money, and then you decide you're going to come and visit. Let me tell you something, because I've seen this happen with so many Westerners. You have to check with the Ugandan government to find out if that orphanage is real or not. There was a person that came, and she was so excited. This is how she came to Uganda. She saw this thing on Facebook, and she's like, oh, I'm going to help. And she's sending all this money and shipping in toys and all sorts of things like that. And then she wanted me to take her to the orphanage, so I took her, and all the kids were there, and they were happy, and they were clean and laughing and singing, and it was all great and beautiful, and everybody was so happy. And then later she found out that there were actually several Americans giving the same money she was giving. And then she found out that whatever she had given while she was here, like maybe there was money that was supposed to be for school fees, because school's not free here for the kids. It's not free. Elementary school, preschool, middle school, high school, not free. They have to pay. She found out that the people who were leading the orphanage were taking the money and buying TVs for themselves and suitcases and clothes and all sorts of things. So she sent me to go and bring some gifts. Like there's this thing in America, I think it's called Angel Tree. I'm not sure because I'm kind of out of the loop, but shoe boxes, they fill up these little boxes with all sorts of things, crayons and toys and things like that. And she had shipped a whole bunch here, so she spent a ton of money, and she wanted me to take them to the orphanage. So we tried to call the people and they wouldn't answer, so we went because we knew where it was. We got there, nobody. No adult, no kid, nobody. So we talked to the people that were next door, because this was like deep in the village. And the people next door said that it was awful, that the way they were treating these kids, that even they wanted to get involved. And you have to know they beat kids here in Uganda. So for the neighbor to say that means they were really abused, and that they don't know where they went, but they just took them and left. And the kids that were in the orphanage, turned out they weren't even orphans. They had parents. That the people were using them to get money from Americans or from the Western people. So, you can't do that. You're going to get scammed every time. The Ugandan government has a list of official orphanages. If it's not on the list, don't give. People here are going to tell you sob stories and stories that, oh, my cousin is sick and they need help. And, no, you have to find out the truth of it. You have to find out. I've been scammed a couple of times. I have. It's true. The first time I had to get a work permit for the second time, I had given my lawyer money here, and lawyer is a loose term used in Uganda. I had given him the money for 3 years, and then he came back to me and said, oh no, because it's your first one, you can only get for 1 year. And I believed him because I was stupid. I should have gone on the website and checked, and I didn't. He stole that money from me. And then when I had to renew again, he says, oh no, you renewed my nonprofit. That's the least you could do. And he stole the money. And he put me in big trouble because you can't be late having a work permit here. And so I got scammed. And really all I had to do was check the website, and I would have known that he stole the money, but I didn't do it. Though we have to remember that there are ways to verify facts here. So you need to verify facts before you send money. Before you send gifts, you need to verify facts. And there you can go through the American Embassy in Uganda. You can just contact them, you can send an email. They can help you verify facts. The Ugandan government has a website up that's official that you can check facts there. There's so many ways to do it. Don't give money unless you check facts. Even if you're wandering around and you're touring someplace or whatever, you think you see a need, like I said, double check before you give anything, or you're going to get scammed. You will. And then you're going to feel bad because in the end, the lady in her organization felt so bad. She felt so bad. She felt like she got scammed big time. I mean, she felt really hurt by the whole thing, but in the end, it was kind of her fault, like me. I was really upset that this person I trusted stole the money, but it was my fault. I should have checked the website and I would have known. It was my own fault. I should have checked. So make sure you're confirming things before you give money. It's very important that you do that so that when you're here, you don't feel taken advantage of. And everybody's going to ask you for your phone number. Oh, do you have your contact? Do you have your contact? You can say no if you want. If you're with a group of people, you're with a church group or a missionary group, or you're touring, you can always say, oh, you know what? Let me contact you through my tour guide. You can give the tour guide your number and then I'll get it from them. Or, you can give it to the pastor and then I'll get it from them. You don't have to give them your number. It's totally okay. You don't have to give them Facebook or any other contact if you don't want to. If you want to, be careful. I'm just going to say, be careful. I often have people that I meet, I give them my assistant's contact information because of language issues and also because they know the culture better than I do, even after 9 years. So I usually go through somebody who's assisting me rather than give my number direct. So be careful about that. And why is that under my description about money? Because it's all about money, isn't it? They'll call you and they'll say, oh my gosh, are you still in Uganda? Help me. My sister got hit by a car and she's bleeding and I don't have any money. And they're crying and they're trying to get you to send them something. I never fall for those kind of things. I never have. I always say, let me talk to somebody at the hospital. Give me the number for the clinic. And then I'll call. And then if I want to make sure that it's really the clinic, then one of my assistants happens to be a doctor and I'll put him on the phone and he'll be like, Mom, this doesn't make any sense. What they're saying to me doesn't work. And I'll say, okay, I'll pray about sending. Okay, thanks, bye. And I'll hang up. But I don't ever send money for sob stories like that. I don't, because you can't tell if they're telling the truth or lying. So I don't. So be careful when you're here. You're going to see a lot of poverty in your heart because your heart is so big. You're going to want to give everything, but stop, check with the Holy Spirit, then check with the person that's leading you because they know better than you do. I think that about covers it for money. So I would say be aware, be safe, and enjoy your time in Uganda.